Hi everyone, this is a monumental moment for Mark and I on the Electronic Cafe. You know, we've been fortunate enough to meet some incredible artists, and this particular episode is no different. We've just had an incredible conversation with the one and only Gary Numan. So should we let everyone see the conversation?
Yep. Everybody dive in and have a look at our brilliant chat with the one and only Gary Numan. The story that the Tubeway Army album was recorded as a punk band. You were signed to Beggars as a punk band. You went in the studio. Famously, there was the Mini Moog there, and you hit the Mini Moog, and it made this enormous, earth-shattering noise that just changed everything for you.
Yeah.
Played a Mini Moog. Have you ever thought, if there was a really shit sound that came out, whether your career would have taken a totally different route? Because it could have just gone.
Yeah, I used to say that actually. You know, when I talked about that moment, and I said, how lucky was it that the sound that it had been left on by whoever it was, and I've never known what it was. You know, remember that Anita Bell, whatever it was. If I'd have pressed the key, it went, what the fuck's this shit?
Yeah, that can go.
Right, where's the guitar? Oh, I'll come back.
We write suggestions, suggesting fade into silence, and that must please you. My mirror's tarnished with know-how. This wreckage I call me would like to frame your voice. This wreckage I call me would like to meet you soon.
Hey everyone, welcome to this very special episode of Electronic Cafe. And this is a massive moment for Mark and I as we meet a legend, and also the headline act of the very first gig I went to. So Mark and I want to welcome Mr. Gary Numan. Welcome to Electronic Cafe, my friend. It's an absolute honour to have you on here.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Really good to see you.
The thing I noticed was when the next lot of electronic people came along, Depeche Mode and people like that they would say how great they were and still slag me off at the same time. For some reason, I wonder whether my Asperger's had something to do with that, though. You know, because I am brutally honest, and I am. When I was younger, in that early electronic period, you know, the Asperger's was really raging compared to now. I've learned how to sort of rate it a lot over the years, you know, again, thanks to Gemma's help. And I'm much more aware now when I'm saying something or doing something that's sort of Asperger's-y, you know, and I still do it a bit, but I'm able to recognize it now before I say it sometimes, and I go, whoa, I shouldn't. So, you know, you can learn a better way of behaving around people, but I certainly didn't know that then, and I was just going for it. So I probably said a whole load of stuff that just was putting fuel on their angry fire, you know. So I think some of the blame is probably my own. If I'd have been older and wiser, I could probably have handled that much better, and it wouldn't have been quite as venomous, and it wouldn't have lasted quite as long, perhaps.
Gary, can I ask you one question? I mean, me and Andy were in bands through the 80s and 90s. I was on keyboards, I had all the synthesizers, and the story that the Tubeway Army album was recorded as a punk band. You were signed to Beggars as a punk band. You went in the studio. Famously, there was the Mini Moog there, and you hit the Mini Moog, and it made this enormous, earth-shattering noise that just changed everything for you.
Yeah.
Played a Mini Moog. Have you ever thought, if there was a really shit sound that came out, whether your career would have taken a totally different route? Because it could have just gone.
Yeah. I used to say that actually. You know, when I talked about that moment, and I said how lucky was it that the sound that it had been left on by whoever it was, and I've never known what it was.
It was
on that particular sound, because it had been, you know, remember that Anita Bell, whatever it was. if I'd have pressed the key, he went, "Boo!" What the fuck's this shit?
Yeah, that can go.
Right, where's the guitar? Oh, I've gone back. It really is, and again, that's how can you feel clever or talented, because whoever put that sound changed my life. I didn't. The only credit I can take for any of that is that I recognized it as an opportunity. I recognized it as a different way of being able to express or be involved with music. And so that was good. So all right, clever old me for recognizing that as an opportunity and as a way of doing something different. But I didn't come up with that sound. I just literally stumbled.
Amazing. Look, mate, it's been documented about Wembley 81, but I want to go forward. I was at the last Wembley gig with my youngest daughter, who's also a massive fan, by the way. It sounds really weird. This is coming from a fan perspective. It felt like a poignant moment for me. So fuck knows what it felt like for you. I mean, you must have been going through a ton of emotion that night.
Yeah, it was really weird, actually. It started great. You arrive there, and it's all big and wonderful, and the realization of being back there, having tried to get back there for so long, decades, was just initially it was just an amazingly lovely, warm feeling. This is everything, and then as the day progressed and the show got closer, sound check sounded great. It just sounded huge, enormous, and the lights. So I was just full of confidence until about 2 hours, I think, before, and then I just lost it.
Did you?
Went to pieces. Yeah.
Wow.
Upset, crying, couldn't. I was so frightened of having wanted that moment for such a long time. Most of my life, I guess, majority of my life has been wanting to get back to Wembley again, having messed it up the first time, and when it got closer to actually doing the show, the fear of not doing it right, of messing it up somehow. Why that would be, I don't know. I've done so many shows. Why I would suddenly mess it up then? But just the enormity of the significance of the moment was so great that it just crushed me. And at one point, and the bloody film crew are there, and it's all fucking, there's nowhere to go to just get yourself together and think clearly. It's constantly being pulled this way, that way, do this, say that, interview over there, blah, blah, blah. It was really mad, And Gemma took me off to one side and was just really lovely and really helpful. And even I got my dad. And my dad came in, so it was like going back 50 years. And my dad used to sort of give me little lectures before the punk shows, and I was shitting my pants, and and it was just such you couldn't have been more of a full circle moment. Everything, getting back to Wembley, my dad giving me a pep talk. My dad's pep talk is pretty much, "You'll be all right." That's it. Oh, thanks, Dad. Yeah,
Thanks, Dad.
But it did. It really did. I don't know why, but it was just lovely. He made me laugh. I'm sitting there, sort of mad in my hands, and he's sort of patting me on the back, about as sort of intimate as my dad gets.
Oh, bless.
You'll be all right, mate.
Oh,
I'll be all right then. But then, so I got through that. I had two moments actually where I collapsed and got back, and I collapsed and got back again. But by the time I actually came to do it, you're standing backstage on the floor. You've got these big steps that you go up, and the band are all there, and and the noise, the noise from the crowd was just,
That's brilliant.
It's a very special moment.
It's a great night. So I felt emotional. It wasn't even my gig. I was just because I've followed you for so long and knew the journey, and I thought, what's he going through right now? It was amazing gig as well.
We spoke to Chris Payne, and we met Chris Payne. He played the Zane Griff show in London recently, so we had a chat with Chris, and he said that you'd created such a lovely family atmosphere at the Wembley show. He said it was just really lovely, like catching up with everybody. He said it was a really nice atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, I try to. Whenever I'm playing live, the idea of it is to have to enjoy it as much as possible. Everyone there, the band, the crew, everyone, they're all away from home, they're all away from their wives and children and other things they'd want to be doing. So you don't want to. It's meant to be fun. The whole point of doing it is we're meant to enjoy doing it. The crew are meant to enjoy being out on the road. The fans are meant to enjoy the shows when they come there. That's what you want, and that's the atmosphere you want. You want it to feel like this little happy little party that just trundles around the world, doing this thing that everybody supposedly wants to do. It's always amazed me how much friction there seems to be amongst some bands when they're touring. How touring seems to be so difficult for some people. I understand it up to a point. I really miss the children, for example, and Gemma on the last few tours has really struggled with it more than me. She's really difficult because you are away for long periods of time. You're away from family, and quite often when you're away, things happen. There are problems at home, and kids have got something's gone on, and you really want to be there. I've missed both Raven's and Persia's graduation.
Wow.
And you don't. These are special moments, and you don't want to miss them. And so there is that side of it that can be quite hurtful. But what's the point in taking that out on people? Do you know what I mean? That's my sadness. That's my thing. There's no point being miserable with people or being awkward. So, but the people that tour with me, band and crew, are there because they have that same sort of attitude. And if we get anybody in the crew that's doesn't gel, isn't quite like that, is a little bit moody or miserable, whatever it might be, then I just get rid of them. They unsettle everything. You only need one sort of gloomy little person for that to start rubbing off. Everyone's there. Everyone there is making some degree of sacrifice to be there, and so you only need that one little element in there, and it just rolls up everybody else's. And so you got to weed them out fairly quickly. But it's very important that band and crew are friends first and workmates second.
My daughter's 21, but she comes to every gig. She went to your 1,000th gig with me, and I've noticed it's actually when we went to see your show in Wembley, we were on the Metropolitan line. A load of guys with leather jackets and bald heads got on the train. My daughter said, "Why do they all look like you?" but I've noticed your audience is becoming a bit more diverse because it's getting down to more and more younger people, which I think that's great. Because that just extends in my mind, that just extends your legacy, right? I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's essential. I think really, I think. There is a natural tailing off of fans as they get older, and that's not the fault of anybody, and I don't take that as like a personal insult or anything like that. But people get older, they get kids of their own, they get married, they got mortgages, they've got arguably they progress at work and get more responsibility at work, and their time to spend listening to music just evaporates, and perhaps their enthusiasm for listening to music just goes away because there's too much else on in their life. And so as you get to a certain age, it's almost like you see it's not having a fan base is like forever walking towards a cliff. Do you know what I mean? People are just falling off the edge of it. So you can't keep bringing new people in. Not the nicest way of putting it, but there is natural sort of falling off. So keeping newer people coming in is essential just to stand still. And if you want the career to build, you need to bring in more than a falling off the edge. It's really difficult. It's really, really difficult.
Talking about that exact same thing, I saw today that you've been put onto the Glastonbury bill.
Yeah, I was supposed to be announcing that today. I forgot. I do that when I get in.
Is it two blokes in Essex?
It's still early for you. It's late for us. But, I mean, again, that's bringing you to another audience. That'd be fantastic.
That'd be amazing.
It is really good. Yeah, I mean, I don't get as many festivals as I would like. Yeah, festivals are fantastic ways of being seen beyond your own fan base. TV is amazing, but outside of that, if you really want to sort of reach out to people that don't know much about you, then festivals are the place to do it. And so I've always wanted to do as many festivals as possible, and always struggled to get them. I do very few, and yet we try to get everything. I do everything there was. Well, it's not quite true, but there are many festivals that I think I would be suitable for, and it's always painful. Don't know why. And every time we do them, it goes well, and people say, "Oh, and then you go, "Well, let's do some more." Then,
yeah,
and you can't get them. That's been one of the big frustrations for the last 20, 25 years, really. The lack of festival opportunities. So getting Glastonbury is great. Really,
that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
So are we over? Is this our end of days? Or we so broken that you can walk away? But when you think back to when we first met, are you sad? And when you think back to all we've been through, does it make you cry?
Mark mentioned we're all fathers of daughters. Obviously, Raven seems to be ramping up her music output, which is great. And then you had obviously you had Persia on My Name Is Rit. Is she doing it? Is she following a music path as well, or Echo? Are they all following Dad's footsteps?
Persia is. Echo doesn't know what she's going to do yet. Persia starts music college in April.
Amazing.
A bachelor of science. He might even do a master's in music production.
Awesome.
She's been songwriting with Violet Grohl, Dave Grohl's daughter.
Yes.
Violet has a setup. There is a producer and a big studio that Dave has that Violet goes to fairly often, and there's a team there that work with her. And Persia's now sort of been working with Violet. They've been doing stuff together. I had a really long chat with Persia a couple of days ago actually about all this. And Persia's really bad at finishing things. She's an ideas girl. She come up with a melody, really, really inventive melodies that you never know where she's going to go. It's brilliant. It's so unpredictable. It's very, very clever. But she's terrible at finishing. She's the same as me. She doubts everything. So she'll do thing, and then she'll think, oh, that's not good enough. So she'll just do something else. So she won't finish that. So she's got a whole mass of unfinished things, and I keep saying to her, you got to come out here with me, and we'll finish them.
Yeah.
She doesn't. So she's well into it. She wants to be a singer. She wants music to be her future.
Wow.
But she's also a really good actress. She's done a lot of voiceover work recently for a new game that's coming out, a new video game that's coming out. It's a really big one. She spent months on that, doing voice acting. So she's got a few avenues. She's been signed to select models for quite a long time, but nothing's really come of that. A few offers that have come in haven't really been what we thought she should do, so nothing there. But she's got now. That's another thing that she can do. She's got the modeling, she's got the acting, both in person and voice acting. Now she did years doing acting courses in Hollywood, and she's obviously got the music, so she can do that as well. And now when she's done this course, she'll be an expert in bloody production, so she knows all that as well. So she's got a number of directions she can go in. Raven is absolutely fixed on. She's already on it. She's underway. Yeah. We're the way BMG are approaching it. It's really just about building profile. Their argument is there's no point releasing an album until you've got an established audience to buy it. Really, which sort of makes sense in this world, modern social media and numbers and followers and so on. So that's the way they're thinking about it. She's got an album ready, and she was hopeful that after they did the 6 singles, it should have been 3 with an option to do 3 more. And when that happened, we were very hopeful then that they would go for the record, but they want to keep building up her profile. So what we all think is important for her progress is to get a really good support tour with somebody, not me. They want to distance Raven from me because they want to distance her from they're aiming her at a younger female audience. They want teenage girls into her, so that they're doing what they can to keep trying to guide her audience or guide her towards that type of an audience, which I understand. So the opportunity of her touring with me, which I always thought would be a done deal, that's not going to happen. Okay. Now, so we're looking for people that she could tour with that would be more in keeping with the sort of the demographic they're looking for to further her forward. So it's slower progress than we'd expected. We thought the album would be out by now, but I'm not disappointed about that, because the way they are going about it is very careful, and they know what they're doing, and there's a plan behind it. So they're not just throwing out some singles and then giving up. There's a proper strategy to what they're doing. And now that the American part of BMG is set up more the way we want it to be, or they wanted it to be, she's soon to be introduced to the American side of it as well, which we haven't been up to now. It's just all been done through the British side of it. And so with that going on, there'll be an American arrow, if you like. There's been a British arrow firing out, but there's going to be an American one as well. So there'll be a 2-pronged sort of approach to how we go about it in terms of gigging and social media and so on. So it's all good, but she's sort of frustrated. She said, "You made it on your 3rd single, 4th single." Everything's different for everybody, mate.
It's a bit unfair. It's a bit unfair to have a father as Gary Numan to compare it with, but it can be helpful, but it can work against you as well. We nearly got signed by E&G Records, and back in the day it was kind of like build up a fan base of people going to gigs and everything, but like now it's social media. It's like an Instagram account. It's like, you got to have so many followers. I mean, that's the digital version of what we used to do, like back in clubs in and around London.
Yeah, it is, but it does seem to be that way. I think playing live is still important. They definitely want her to play live, and we've been looking at ways of doing that in a way that's meaningful. You know, for her to go out and do 2 or 3 little warm-up showcase type things in London, I don't think that would be a bad thing. That'd be a good experience for her, and I think experience is important, even if you're not going to build up your fan base by doing it. Gaining that experience, I think, is important. You know, that's one of the things that I struggled with, is I had almost no experience before I was on big stages, and you know, you haven't got all these sort of years of working crowds to fall back on. You don't know what you're doing, so you kind of learn with everybody watching. And I don't want her to be in that same position. I would like for Raven, all of them actually, when they get that big moment. Should they get that big moment, I would like them to be more prepared for it than I was, because I was completely unprepared for it in every way. Doing interviews, recording, certainly being on stage. How you talk to the media is very important. You know, you need to have done a few of those and said the wrong thing a few times to know, you know, how to handle that a little bit better. Sometimes you can get questions, for example, that are deliberately aggressive and provocative. You know, they're trying to make you flare up, you know, so you need to be able to recognize that, not rise to the bait. You know, you that's experience, really. You need to get to that point. You don't start at that point. And so for her, I'm happy for her progress to bigger things to be slow and gentle, as long as she's building up experience along the way. To go out and get a good support tour would be great, but if that isn't available, then I do think a certain degree of just small shows wouldn't be harmful. Even if it doesn't gain her much, because the experience itself would be valuable.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll come along and see her in London. She's playing. Definitely be there. Definitely. I know you and John Fox have a mutual respect for each other. Would you ever consider doing anything with him? Because I know he was a big influence for you, but I know he's very fond of you as well. And I just thought, God, that could be amazing.
I did a single with him.
Yes, you did.
So we've done that. I don't have any desire to work with anyone, to be honest. And I'm not saying I wouldn't. I don't think, I'd like to work with them. I'd like to work with them. I'd like to work with Trent. I'd like to work. You know, I'm a very insular kind of person when it comes to work, which is why I sit in here in my little dark little room on my own, coming up with my ideas, getting them wrong. No one can hear. You know, no one can know how many times I played that shittily before I did it well. You know, I like it like that. And, you know, me and Aid, we are never in the room together when we're actually working. He comes over here a little bit and helps me with setting up things and so on, but we don't actually work together. I might do a vocal or two, you know, when we was redoing those Sacrifice XL Pure things. Sometimes I was with him then doing the vocals, because it's easier for him to just engineer it than me do it on my own. But most of that I did on my own. When it comes to new stuff, I find anybody being there really, I don't work. I just grind to a halt. You know, I can't stand somebody looking over my shoulder. I sometimes you'll come up with an idea, and it can take you a few hours to just work that idea out, make some minute little changes to it, keep going over and over and over it, and fine little adjustments until you get it the way you want it to be. You don't want someone there. You know, there's that sort of pressure to come up with something quick and say, "What do you think about that?" I don't want to do that. I don't ever want to say, "What do you think about that?" I don't want it to be anybody else's decision. It's mine. That's my part. That's my decision. So me working with other people has never really been done with me working with someone. I add my bit to it. Like with John Fox's thing that came here, I did something to it. I sent it back. They can like it or not like it. I just did a thing with Tara Bush, I Spink Machine. She sent me the track with a little, you could try this or try that. So I said, all right, I tried that. And I sent it back. We're never in the same room at the same time. I couldn't
Fair
get
point,
on with that. Every collaboration I've ever done, I've done on my own, and I've sent it back to them.
Yeah, love it.
So if I was to do it with John Fox, it would be done that way. Where does it start? You know, do I write the music and I give it to him?
Yeah,
I just like doing my own stuff. You know,
that makes sense.
I don't mind listening on things once in a while, but when it comes to actually sort of creating something from scratch, I like to do my own thing.
We're really conscious of how much time you've given us today. We really appreciate it. I mean, it's been a massive thrill for us.
I've never recorded the intro yet.
I'm good for about another 20 minutes or so. If you want.
Brilliant, mate. That's amazing. I will record an intro before we finish, just so we can, because that's how we normally do it. But it's been such a brilliant conversation and just a natural flow. I'll leave it till the end.
We're just going to ask you a couple of quick questions, and we'd appreciate you've got things to do. What would be your Desert Island disc?
One song.
Album.
Uh,
The reason we ask this, Gary, is because we always think we got a guess, and we're miles off every time.
you probably would with me, actually. Well, actually, now I would take Ravens, funnily enough.
Oh, wow.
Not only because it's very, very good, but you know what a lovely way of staying in touch with you on your desert island with your family.
What a lovely thing.
Ravens to one side, then it would probably. Oh, that's harder than you think. Actually, I was going to go straight for a Pretty Hate Machine, the 9 Inch Nails one, because
Yes.
I like so much of that. And it's got a head like a hole in it, and I could listen to that for the rest of my life and never listen to another song. I just think it's...
Yeah, we're seeing 9 Inch Nails in June, I think, at the O2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait.
If Gemma gets her way, we'll probably be there as well.
Oh, I'll see you for a beer.
Let me think. It's so awkward because I don't... Do you know what? Do you know that band called Vordruna? I really love what they do. I picked loads of those songs for this 6 music thing I'm doing. Agnes Obel, she did a song called Familiar. It's every bit of ethereal music on TV or film is Agnes Obel.
Oh,
She's the most person on the planet, I think, at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a song called Familiar, one called The Curse, Broken Sleep, Riverside. They're all beautiful. She's fucking clever. Depends on what mood I was on the island, really.
It's such a difficult question.
Relax, a bit of Agnes.
It's funny, we asked Rusty Egan this question. I thought he's going to say Trans Europe Express or something, and it was a Van Morrison record. It was like,
no way. Really?
Yeah, completely threw us. It's like, okay, yeah. Another question we make: a table for 4 for Mr. Newman, dead or alive? Who's at the table?
Dead or alive?
Yeah.
King Leonidas, the Spartan king.
Wow, that's a great answer. That.
Who else? Possibly Nelson. Admiral Nelson, Douglas Bader.
Wow.
Douglas
Yeah.
Leaning towards war there, I suppose.
Well,
it's not really about war, it's about people doing extraordinary things in difficult.
100%. Oh, that's amazing. I said before we wrap this up, and honestly, I could talk to you forever. It's absolutely brilliant. I better do the intro. I was going to do it at the beginning, but I'll do it now. Hey everyone, welcome to this very special episode of Electronic Cafe. Welcome to Electronic Cafe, my friend. It's an absolute honour to have you on here.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Really good to see you. Right, your editing skills are going to be needed now, Mark.
There is always someone better than the past. You're welcome to stand in my place. You're welcome to feel.
Gary, I'm guessing obviously the new album being worked on. Are you having a bit of a break from touring, or am I completely wrong on that? Because I know you love touring, and your tours are amazing. So, but
Because of Glastonbury, we're trying to put a few shows in before that, like little warm-up shows. There was 4 actually suggested last week, but I didn't think they were the right things. We do have a big tour planned for November, but that was for the new album, and it's not looking likely now that I'll get it ready in time to be released before that tour. So it might be, and this is absolutely not decided yet. We're a long way from knowing exactly what we're going to do, but it might be that I accept the tour that the album's going to be a bit late. So we'll have to look at another British tour for that, maybe into the new year, next year, maybe, I don't know, April, May, June even. And we repurposed that November tour for Telecon. I wasn't going to do a 45th anniversary for Telecon because it just wasn't time, really. I did the 45th for the other 2 last year. And since then, I've been working on a new album. I didn't want to stop working on the album to do a Telecon tour because I always leave it to the last minute to start the albums, and it's always a problem, which is why this just fucked me up. It's starting so slowly. And then getting very, very busy with other things has just sort of ruined it, really. So there are those warm-up shows for Glastonbury, and I was going to use those as a mini Telecon tour.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking, no, let's not do that. Let's just work on the songs that you're going to do at Glastonbury for those 4, should those 4 come together, and we're still looking at that. That's move Telecon. It might be that I trim back the tour at the end of the year because there was lots of big venues in that, and that I don't know whether that would be appropriate for Telecon. I really don't know how people feel about Telecon, so it might be that I shorten that tour a little bit, make it a little bit more compact and concise, and then we'll then move the new album into the new year and the tour for that.
We are not supposed to cry, but it's all just the thought, so here am I. We are glass. We are glass. They run past impressions of the flaws in my
I've got something else going on in late February, March, which I need to keep clear of. And obviously BMG are doing all this back catalogue and live album stuff. So Wembley's on its way. If I move the album at the end of the year, then that will actually give us a gap where there's some more back catalogue could come out. There'll be another live album, maybe the 1,000th, I'm not sure, could come out then and fill that gap. So I think from a fan's point of view, over the next few years, there is just going to be a constant stream of new stuff, reworked old stuff, new live albums. We're very, very conscious of the fact that we don't want to overwhelm people with stuff, and we don't want to ask too much of people, and we don't want to look as if we're just pumping stuff out and ripping them off. So that's why the plan goes up to 2030. It's a very long plan to try to make sure that it's done with some kind of style, that people don't feel like they're being taken advantage of, and it's all very, very carefully spaced out. And hopefully, if we get it right, then it will give fans just years now of things that they would want on a regular basis. As new stuff sort of dotted in between that, and obviously 2028 is the 50th anniversary, so we'll do something special for that. But it keeps going, and then in 2030 I'll be 72. So
looking good for it, mate.
Yeah, I'm rotting on the inside. That's the trouble. Yeah, and I'm looking all right. It's all done by fucking transplants and surgery, isn't it? It's not real. Transplants, hair dye, surgery, and you could look a little bit younger than you should.
You should give me a number. Looking great, mate, and you're sounding great. And listen,
I wish it was natural. I wish I naturally looked like this.
It don't matter, does it? He's still, and when we see you live, I mean, it looks to me now, and I think Mark feels saying you're enjoying your live shows like the last couple of years, seeing more now than ever.
Yeah, I really do. I've got to that point now where I feel confident enough that I can do anything that happens, anything that might go wrong. So you just relax, and I think the relaxing on stage allows you to perform better, because you sort of lose yourself in the moment more. You just stop caring about that, and it's a really lovely thing. Touring used to be the thing that I dreaded. I didn't like being away from home. I found it really uncomfortable. The Asperger's was raging, and thinking that you didn't really know what you were doing and you weren't good enough yet, and all that sort of business. It used to really bother me. I used to love being in the studio, and now it's the other way around. Now I find the studio side of it quite stressful, and I absolutely love when it gets to touring, and the bus rolls up outside. And then this is
amazing.
I love all this, and if I can get the children out fairly regularly, then that stops that problem as well. Sort of missing them too much.
Yeah, cool.
Touring's great. It's just, you think about it, you're with the people you like the most, like your closest friends, which the band is, and some of the crew are. You're in these amazing big machines, and you're just trolling around the world, and each night you get up on stage and you do your bit, and everyone goes mad, and you get paid for it. It's a good way of living it. It's just,
that's why it's a living, isn't there?
Yeah. Why do people split up? It's too stressful. Is it?
I know that I'm thinking the way you walk and say time that I was thinking of no one else but me. Oh, changing mind, nothing ever stays the same. Changing mind.
Can I also say, mate, just this, what a great book. If any of our Electronic Cafe people haven't read this, I thoroughly recommend it. It's such a great testament about you as a person and everything, and the way you fought back, and the rise, the fall, and then the resurrection of your career is brilliant, and it's a great book. A really good book.
I actually missed out so much stuff in that. The way that came about was slightly accidental. I got approached by somebody, so there's going to be a ghostwriter that wrote it, and I didn't really ever want that. I wanted it to be me that did it.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, all right then." But it'll be done by sort of doing lots of interviews, and they're pretty much just transcribed as interviews, so it would still be me. But I was so busy, and I finished an Intruder, I think, and I just didn't have time, to do the book. And then I got the first draft of it, and it just wasn't right. It just, I think partly because the way I speak isn't the way I write. I swear a lot, and I'm a bit vulgar, and I don't like the way I speak. When I listen back to interviews, I always think I don't like me at all. I won't this one. But when I write, I'm more eloquent when I write. I seem more intelligent when I write. And so I've got this sort of transcript version back, and I'm like, oh, it's just not for me. So I said, thanks to all that, but I'll do it myself. So I can't remember what it was now, but something like 11 weeks to get Intruder finished to meet the deadline. And I said I had loads to do on it. And so I wrote that in a few weeks, the book, because I had to get that done and out of the way quickly so I could make sure. So I was doing them both at the same time. If I'd have had more time, if I could have spent a few months on that book, there are so many more little anecdotes and stories that would have made it a more interesting read, I think. It's quite factual. This happened, that happened, that then we got dropped by them. It's a little bit technical for me for what I wanted it to be, because I just I've got a terrible memory, and it takes time to just sort of sit down there and you write something and then you think, oh, and something else happened. And you remember, the amount of stories that I remembered after it came out, I was a bit disappointed, actually.
How was you? I think it's a great book.
Humanness to it, if that's a word.
You say that, and the humanist bit for me was, and I'm reading about your flying and doing the displays. I had no idea it was so lethal in terms of how many people died until I read this book. I had no idea. I was gobsmacked, absolutely gobsmacked.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
In a way, though, that's in a way that's partly what attracts you to it. To be able to do something well, that's dangerous. That kills people regularly. It's a bit childish, but there's a thrill to that. There's an excitement to that. So it's not just being able to control the machine and make it do all these things. You're very aware every time you do it. If you make a mistake, even a small one, you're gonna. It's living life to the full. That's what that is. It's incredibly exciting, and you feel like you're getting the most out of life by pushing it, if you know what I mean. It does feel slightly childish now when I think back on it, but that is definitely a part of it.
Yeah.
But it's not the only part of it. To being able to master the machines, the company you keep, your the other people that do that, these are very intelligent, very skilled test pilots and all that sort of people. So you're in great company, and it's just good. It's good to be someone like me. I can sit in amongst those people, sit in the corner quietly and just listen to all this wisdom coming out. And the amount you learn, you just shut up and listen to what these people are saying. I think the best way to get through life is to just shut up and listen. I do. I really do. I mean, I talk a lot in these things because I have to, because you're asking me questions. But generally speaking, if I'm out and about, I'm pretty quiet. It's much better to listen to someone than to be.
I can hear Mark saying, "Are you listening, Andy?"
No, but it's like, if you don't know something, don't open your mouth and let people know you don't know. Just
be quiet and listen.
Learn it.
I would walk out of heaven just to be with you. This is absolute. This is absolution. This is absolute.
Gary, we thank you so much for your time today. We are thrilled. Obviously, you formed a massive part of our musical tapestry all of our lives. We're absolutely thrilled. We've hardly asked any of the questions we had.
This has been just a brilliant conversation.
Just had like a really nice, brilliant conversation, which we loved. We would love sometime in the future, when the new album's finished, whenever that is, just to have a quick catch up with you about the new album. That would be fantastic.
10 minutes just to do it. Yeah, I'd love that.
Right. Well, tell you what, let's do another one when I'm further on with the record then. And
yes,
then you
exactly.
can
Whenever it's done, we'd love to do one for the new album, just whenever you're ready, whenever it's convenient for you. But this for us, I mean, for me, but especially for Andy, I mean, Andy is just like the person that he's been wanted forever. So it's
been a real honour. Real honour for me, Gary. Well, I know, and for Mark as well. But yeah, I'm your biggest fan without trying to sound too gushy, and I've just admired you, and from the highs and the lows to the highs again. I just think you're an incredible guy. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well, Andy got kicked out of school for wearing a Telecom jumpsuit.
Black suit, 4 red belts. Get out. I was like, British fucking Gary Numan. Get out.
Gary, thanks a lot, mate. I mean, this has been brilliant. We'll catch up with you at some time in London as well. But thank you so much. It's been such a thrill.
But yeah, thank you. It's been incredible.
My pleasure. We'll see you again.
Take care, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
But I am breathing a child's lifetime.